Alright, the sun is out in full force today. I saw a lot of interesting stuff. They actually kind of interrelate with some stuff that was on my mind. It actually was the result of some user comments, which actually relates to things like drones. So I thought I'd actually talk a bit about it because actually there's a lot of important details, I feel personally, to raise things like the conversations of drones and the interim drone laws. So for those who are new to the issue, essentially here in Canada when it comes to drones and recreational flyers, they introduced these really ridiculous drone laws which essentially in many ways bans people from flying them, like in most situations. For example, with crazy rules like 75 meters away from all animals, peoples, buildings and all that. Basically for drones that are 250 grams and up. So a lot of people have been vocal about this, saying it's unfair, it's basically ridiculous. Whereas on the other side, there are people saying, hey, it's perfectly fine because it's all about safety. And basically there's been kind of a tension over this. For a person like myself, I've been making videos, whatever comes to my mind. And basically since the drones are the big issue right now, that's basically what's been occupying my mind for the most part. And so as I talked about it, it seemed like even though drones in the country, like let's say the floods in Canada, have been providing a benefit to people, it seemed like various people still try to demonize like the tech. For the most part, this hysteria has made people really judge things irrationally, in my opinion. Like even news reports, like here in Canada, this CBC report, they basically posted a fake video of a supposed quote drone like breaking an airplane, which was completely fake. I often raise the question too, why is it that for a law that affects recreational drone flyers, why is it like in the media, I've never really seen much talk with a regular person. It's always been commercial people this, commercial people that, basically down talking the recreational drone flyers saying, oh yeah, these laws are fantastic, like those guys are dangerous, like why hasn't there been regular people? Even like for me here, I was saying like, okay, well I'd like to talk with some of those people that claim like these drones are so dangerous and all that, and why do they feel it's so proper, if that makes sense. But I've never, found the right people who are actually willing to say talk in front of a camera, for example, to show everyone like their thoughts to justify this. But just the other day, someone left a comment on one of my vlogs. That vlog was actually about the floodings in Canada and how I personally felt that even though people were providing drones or using drones in a good way to notify everyone of the floods, where even the media are using the footages, it's actually more dangerous in my opinion to fearmonger people, like to not use this technology or in any way, shape or form, even though in some cases people aren't getting federal aid for help. Okay, so this person, your username is pwhite84, and to my understanding from what you wrote here anyways, you say you are a commercial helicopter pilot in Canada. And generally speaking, you support these new laws and you give your reasons for it. And I thought this would be interesting to talk about because he actually makes a lot of the points which I feel a lot of those commercial helicopter pilots, if that's what you want to call it, have. So I think it'd be interesting to dive into. As well, keep in mind these are opinions only. I mean, there could be other commercial helicopter pilots that have different opinions as this person, or vice versa. People who are recreational drone pilots have different opinions of me. But yeah, this is just to get the conversation going. And keep in mind, as I talk about this, I'm personally coming from the perspective of trying to make something that's fair for everybody. Not just for one person, not just for like the other, but for everybody. It has to make sense and be equal to all. Now, one of the first points you mentioned here is how even the smallest, tiniest drones apparently can damage a helicopter, such as crashing into the tail rotor, as you mentioned here. And as a result, I guess the helicopter could crash and all that. So again, if the topic is only about safety, why not ban everything that has the potential to take down a helicopter, like in your example here? Whether it be a kite, a balloon, or heck, maybe someone's playing baseball. Hey, aren't there odds that they can hit the baseball high enough where it hits this helicopter and poof, it's dead? Or how about a bird? If birds pose that much of a threat, why not somehow ban all birds? Why not convince the province that if they ever see a bird, they better capture it or whatever? Because again, keep in mind, if this topic is truly about safety, then why aren't you concerned about these things as well? Now for myself anyways, when it comes to this conversation, especially the video that you replied to, it was more about the notion of not whether or not, hey, can this object necessarily hurt a person or a helicopter? I mean, come on, let's use common sense. Can technically a drone run into someone's eye, for example, and yeah, cause like extreme harm? Yeah, of course, but that's not the point. I mean, just to use an example, just to put the point across, I mean, look at this weird news I read the other day. And I'm guessing this is real news, okay? I think it was on the CBS site. It says, brunchers beware, avocado hand injuries on the rise. Now apparently people are cutting their hands with knives, like when they're trying to cut avocado, causing them to go into, I guess, surgery rooms and stuff like that. And apparently it's so big that they feel the need to warn people about it. So like here, the argument isn't, okay, can a knife hurt people? But at what point do you realize it's ridiculous to make a law like here saying, okay, because of this, we're gonna ban knives in general, okay, from people using them in their own house. At the same time, we're gonna ban people the ability to cut avocados themselves. If you want to cut this, you're gonna have to go to an expert chef or something like that. All for the sake of public safety. Do you not think that's ridiculous? In my opinion, that is what's happening here when you're arguing about the tiniest things breaking, like, you know, a road and so forth. It's not about can it do it, but whether or not is the law so ridiculous where you're getting paranoid is stopping everyone else from being able to use, like, say, these tools as well in other ways. I mean, think of the bigger picture too with this avocado example. Let's just pretend they banned knives or whatever because of this. You have to think of more than just food, of what people use, like, say, knives for. Maybe they use it for, I mean, in some ways, like surgery, correct? I mean, are you saying like all those people shouldn't be able to use them as well now just because of this? Okay, now you say here, Transport Canada is ensuring the safety of manned aircraft first and foremost. They don't care if it is affecting your hobby. With how popular this hobby has become, they are ensuring that something doesn't happen, and I applaud them. Although I don't think that they have gone far enough. Okay, I'm just gonna record this first. I have to go over there for a second. But you see, what do you guys think this is? Okay, onward we go. Okay, look at this. Now, generally speaking, did you actually read the laws? I'm really curious. Did you know that, for example, it says to fly your drone that's over 250 grams, you have to be 75 meters away from all people, animals, buildings, etc., etc.? Technically, I'm not even 75 meters away from that building. Do you think, for example, I'm just gonna post like a random drone here, like I think this one's 260 grams. Are you telling me this law isn't overboard in many ways, where flying something like that is completely ridiculous in terms of people being concerned over it? I mean, are you telling me someone flying like a 260 gram drone, or 250 according to this law, is such a danger here for some reason, even when it comes to, say, helicopters? But that's what the law stops you from doing. And they're encouraging people to phone 911 over this. Put it in perspective. Is there a chance that that 250 gram drone, for some odd reason, for I don't know how, like why, that would just fly like crazy from here to maybe, I don't know, 50 meters away and hit that geese? Maybe, but come on, realistically? And that's not even including, like, say, the helipad that's like, what, I don't know, 6 kilometers away? You're telling me someone flying a 250 gram drone, for example, in a place like that is gonna cause that much danger? What are you telling me? The law should be people should stay like 150 meters away from all this stuff? But overall, I think one of the key points of this phrase that you wrote was basically the one saying they're basically ensuring the safety of manned aircraft first and foremost, and plus, this is the most important one, they don't care if it is affecting your hobby. That is the most important quote, I think, out of all this, because this comes back to my point before. It's not even so much about drones anymore. It's about people being closed-minded. I mean, generally speaking, like you as a helicopter pilot, a commercial one, do you think the whole world just revolves around you, for example? Like, the only way people are using drones is they're being crazy and they're flying near helicopters. Do you not see how people are using it in other avenues of life as well that benefits people in a different way? I mean, take the story I was told yesterday by a viewer. Apparently a drone was used to create some kind of great biology discovery just because of the footage that was taken. Can you imagine how many more of these could happen as a result of recreational drone flyers, for example? Are you telling me that's not as important, or basically your fear or paranoia of a drone crashing into a helicopter should justify people not being able to do this in that area? In my opinion anyways, that's my example of, that's narrow-minded in my opinion. If you think like banning drones is great in every single way for the hobby user and that you shouldn't care, well, you should care because it affects people in different ways. Well, like back to the avocado example, can you imagine if we said, okay, all knives are banned now? I mean, think about that. You can't just think of one situation saying, okay, yeah, it's a danger to the public in that sense, so just ban them all. Think of everything else that it affects. If I was to reverse the situation right now, it would be like me saying, are you saying there has never been an accident with a helicopter where for whatever reason, like there was a pilot error, the helicopter crashed and it caused a lot of explosion or whatever destruction? So me as a regular individual, because of that, for the sake of safety, all helicopters should be banned, period. Just because there is a chance, like right now, there's a chance, isn't there? Like maybe a helicopter will land on this area here, burn the whole forest on fire, so they should all be banned because of that. Do you think that makes sense? Because that's what you're telling me about this drone, for example. I would think the rational response after would be like, yeah, but think about it. Think of all the benefits the helicopter provides as well. Ding, 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 ding. Can you please think that way when it comes to drones as well? Don't just think of the one sensationalized situation. I mean, yeah, there's a chance a helicopter can just land in the middle of nowhere here. Okay, crash, cause a fire, like cause a destruction, but yeah, but is that enough to justify the banning, so to speak, or these ridiculous laws that say helicopters should not be anywhere near there? The only place you should be able to fly is a desert. Or actually, I guess that wouldn't even be okay as well, because maybe there's going to be an animal there. In the perspective again, what is wrong with someone flying, like say a small drone or whatever here? No, I technically can't, because, for example, it is within the 9 kilometers of all the airports, helipads, etc., etc. You don't think that's overboard? I mean, come on, do you really, truly, honestly don't think that is overboard? And I would ask again to please not just look at things in a narrow-minded view where the only perception of drones that you have are the whatever videos that you've seen or what the media shows you. I mean, try to understand it in the whole perspective. That's what I try to do as a drone flyer. I mean, I don't say, like, in terms of the laws, hey, anybody should be able to fly within 1 centimeter of a helicopter in an airport. Yeah, it's fine. That'd be ridiculous. I try to look at all, you know, perspectives. And in my opinion, like, unfortunately, with what you wrote here, it makes me feel like you think it's okay to ignore, like, that one section of people as an example. Okay, now you then made this comment about how you feel, I guess, the drone manufacturers should have something that should stop drones from flying within, say, all airports, heliports, aerodomes, and so forth. I mean, there is stuff like that. I mean, there's the geofencing, which actually stops people from flying in particular zones. But again, I think this is an example of only looking at it at your perspective only. I mean, just for me, like, I'm not a helicopter flyer or anything like that, but to my understanding, some people's argument, which it sounds like it's a valid, basically argument, why should you not be able to fly, for example, if there's a helipad or something like that, that's only used, like, say, once or twice every year? Why should you ban people from flying something like a drone from that area just because that helipad flies once or twice a year? I mean, don't you think it's a little bit better, like in that sense, for the government or whatever to provide people access to information, to notify them of, hey, there's going to be something flying here, so please do not fly it during this time? Don't you think that makes more sense? And that just goes back to my example too. Don't think of just yourself. Think about everything else it affects. I mean, we live in a very diverse country here. I mean, people don't use the technology in the same way. People aren't in the exact same area as you. I mean, you have to think about that. Now, this comment is actually kind of concerning to me because this is actually what I fear with things like those fake drone videos that the CBC published. I mean, you say here, I work out of a very busy heliport and constantly see videos of drone users that are extremely close to our operations with no regards to our safety, and one coworker has had to actually take evasive maneuvers to avoid colliding with one. We cannot see you and have enough to worry about flying a helicopter safely. We don't need to be worried if there is drones within our immediate vicinity as well. So is it safe to say, in many ways, a lot of your concerns are just based on YouTube videos as an example that you saw, as opposed to actually getting out there in the public, talking to the everyday person, like say myself, okay, and seeing how we use it? You're basically classifying or basically putting like myself in the same bucket as those guys. Is that not fair to say? I mean, if it's just about watching videos and all that, I mean, let me just, I don't know, randomly find something with helicopters right now and let's try to mimic a Mark or no. When it comes to safety, I don't believe there's any such thing as an overkill. I've seen dozens of reports coming in of helicopters going crazy due to pilot errors, animals being slaughtered. Because of this, I'm taking action immediately before a catastrophic event happens of a helicopter crashing into an airplane. Is this a representation of how everybody uses a helicopter? And let's not forget these are the type of nightmare scenarios that keep me awake at night as your transport minister. Come on, even you would say this is not a representation of all helicopters and so forth, correct? In that situation, doesn't it make more sense to just, discipline those particular individuals? Why go after the entire industry, like banning them as an example, as that group of people now, like helicopter flyers in general, just because of that action? Even I know, okay, well, that's, an isolated incident. Have safeguards and all that, but don't fear monger people in terms of banning the whole thing that benefits people in other ways. Now, you did make a reply to this actually about going after like just the troublemakers, saying, you can make the argument to just go after the problem people, but that is not something Transport Canada is willing to take a chance on. People will continue to break these regulations, but I for one will be reporting anyone I see blatantly disregarding these rules to the local police. What do you mean by not willing to take a chance on? I mean, you gotta put this in perspective again. Try to get out of your little box, for example, of who this is affecting. Like you say, people will continue to break these regulations. Yes, who are these people you're talking about? I mean, even like for a person myself, I've expressed these people that you're talking about, they're gonna break the law regardless if there is a law or not. They're gonna fly near the helicopters regardless. I mean, just to show the visual again. Area like this, completely illegal for a person like me to fly, a law-abiding person. Think about that. You have to think about how the laws are written, that it affects everyday people. I mean, to say don't want to take the chance on? I'm sorry, but this is borderline, I hate to use the word because people usually think of different things, but it's borderline discrimination. You're telling me they'd rather ban a broad, like, box of people just because they're not willing to police it, if that makes sense? I mean, I'm inclined to say as, like, if he's the transport minister and they're not willing to do it the proper way, which benefits everybody, time to resign. It goes back to the point too of you saying they don't care about the hobby users or the recreational people. Well, I'm sorry to say, but this is a public job. You're not the only person in the world, neither am I. These laws, and they should be working for everybody, not just for, like, say, the big commercial people or whatever. It should be for everybody. And are you telling me as a commercial helicopter pilot, with those examples I just showed you, someone flying like say a 250 gram drone because they're like 50 meters away from, I don't know, the geese or whatever, or even like say a person, you're telling me you're gonna phone 911 over that? You basically say you will do that. In my opinion, that is so wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. It's clogging up 911 for real important issues. At the same time, that is fear mongering, I'm sorry. On the topic of trying to look beyond just what you know, for example, I mean, in relation to the video game, it was about the floods. I mean, what happens if there is a situation, like I read that story about a father and a daughter being swept away by the flood? What if I had a drone that I could potentially fly there right now to potentially see where they, landed for the authorities to help? You're telling me because of the rules, I should not fly the drone and you will phone 911 on me for helping that person? Out of curiosity, I was actually trying to find if there was any commercial helicopter issues recently that kind of relates to, I guess, Transport Canada making really like crazy rules or anything like that. The only thing I was able to find was something about this, like air ambulance helicopters before apparently were unable to land because of a new regulation where they deemed helicopters are unsafe. Like, I don't know all the technical details, but according to some experts, they say they've been flying for years with no problems, so it's kind of a surprise. And they said it was a miscommunication or something about reading the manuals. I mean, you guys can argue over the technical details. But what interested me the most about this was kind of like with the drone issues and you making the comment, for example, about they don't care about the hobby users. It makes me think again, well, who were you listening to and why? I mean, if it's an issue affecting recreational drone flyers, don't you think you need more input from recreational drone flyers to see how people are using it in modern day life? And this quote about the helicopter issue is actually kind of scary. It says, at the time, the government was reportedly told by other bidders that HeliJet's aircrafts weren't the right ones for the job and were not as future-proof as the one flown in Alberta. So unless I'm understanding it wrong, basically there's like a government bid for a project and I guess a competitor was saying, well, that business is unsafe, wink, wink. And then I guess the government agreed, oh yeah, you're right, I better ban them all now. And then of course this created like a huge uproar from the public. Basically talking about, safeties, like you're stopping people from like going down like hospitals and stuff like that now. I mean, to me, this is what scares me a little bit about this drone law, the way it was passed. If you only talk to like commercial people like this, like, well, of course, like for the most part, like the big companies are gonna say these guys are dangerous, we're the only ones for the job. I mean, does it just come down to money, honestly? I'm genuinely curious how like a commercial pilot like yourself would react after hearing like all these facts and how things are run. I mean, do you honestly still feel it's not overboard? Like they should do even more? again, I can only suggest try thinking outside of your box right now, what you perceive drones as and how people use them. It's like saying too, maybe you don't get enjoyment of watching like drone videos like of my hikes and so forth, but maybe there's someone who is like in a wheelchair who used to hike, but now he can enjoy these videos and maybe he can contribute in society in another way. You never know. I mean, look beyond your own box and how people are using them. Like, I don't know if you actually read or watched those videos that I linked in my previous video. I think they're important for opening up your mind. I would suggest people watch this one next. It's about cognitive bias, because in many ways, I think that's the issue right now with the drones. That video actually has a lot of interesting points, such as why, say, if someone's walking through a see-through skywalk, despite technically it's one of the safest things to walk on, just the fact that you see like the ground below, you're still going to be freaked out. I mean, in my opinion, in many ways, that's how the drones are now too. Despite how much you would say, okay, well, it's safe, like for the most part where people fly it, people just have like this bias right now that the thing is just crazy dangerous. I mean, just like with this example, like with this here. I mean, can accidents happen? Yes. Do they happen? Well, like with the helicopters, yeah. Is that enough to justify like a flat out ban in our most ridiculous way? No, because it benefits people in different ways. I would say for things like the hobbies too, try to keep an open mind, because the hobbies can actually affect people in a very positive way. Maybe stuff that you just don't understand. For example, for some people, maybe it's playing a sport that aspires them to be great and productive in life. For some people, maybe it's cooking. For maybe someone else is building a car. Nowadays, maybe it's building a drone. And who knows what that will lead to. Maybe that'll lead to things to make airport transportations like a lot more effective, for example. I mean, by stopping the hobby in this sense, you're kind of stopping technology from advancing in general. Ultimately, again, I hope this encourages the conversation. I mean, are you a recreational drone pilot or a commercial helicopter pilot, for example, has different views? I mean, let's hear it. Do you think I'm inaccurate in some ways, or do you think that person is? Like, why? Like, I actually prefer conversations like these in the super formal way, in my opinion, because this one gets down to the roots of what people in general, like the real people, feel like. All right, see you guys later.